Wow, it seems like everything is changing so fast these days, right? Like
Yeah.
keeping up with all the information out there can be a real challenge, without getting totally overwhelmed. But that's kind of why we're here right with the deep dive. To pull out those key insights, nuggets of wisdom from all the noise, and give you a shortcut to being in the know.
Absolutely.
And today we're diving into a topic that's really got people buzzing.
Yeah.
The idea of ranking articles on Google in just a few hours using AI for SEO.
Few hours.
So for this deep dive, we'll be dissecting a recent YouTube video from the channel Income Stream Surfers.
Right.
And this video is making some pretty bold claims, showing a method to get AI-generated content ranking on Google in less than 8 hours.
That's a NATO.
So our mission today is to unpack how they did it and what we can really learn from it. Get ready, folks, because if you're interested in content creation, SEO, and the power of AI, this analysis could have some serious aha moments for you.
That's right. So for this deep dive, we're going to be breaking down a recent video from the Income Stream Surfers YouTube channel. And this video has caused quite a stir online by showcasing a supposed method for getting AI-generated content to rank on Google in under 8 hours. So today we're going to break down how they claim they did this and see what we can learn from it. Get ready, because whether you're interested in content creation, SEO, or the power of AI, this breakdown should have some serious aha moments for you.
Yeah, so the video starts off with a claim that honestly sounds almost too good to be true.
Right.
Ranking on Google in just a few hours.
A few hours.
And to try and convince us, the presenter shows us a so-called proof. So what exactly is this proof?
So we see the presenter searching on an incognito tab for the keyword smart casual dress code for men.
Okay.
And lo and behold, to his surprise, and I think to the listener's surprise as well, an article from the website, ssuit.it, shows up in the search results.
Oh.
And according to him, after only 7 hours of being posted.
7 hours.
7 hours. It's insane.
7 hours, that's incredibly fast. And, the presenter himself even acknowledges that this claim might sound hard to believe.
Yeah.
To many. But there it is.
Right there on the screen.
The screenshot, the supposed evidence. So to understand if this is actually something we could replicate, or at least understand better, we need to break down how they supposedly did it. And the first crucial step is, of course, keyword selection. So what strategy do they show in the video that they used?
Well, the video explains that in order to come up with the topic for this article,
Yeah.
they actually used what the presenter himself refers to as literally the oldest trick in the book
Okay.
when it comes to finding content ideas, and that is analyzing a competitor's best keywords. So in this case, they use the website Issues Expert as their reference point, and they use the SEO tool Ahrefs to identify what their competitors' best performing keywords are.
So instead of coming up with a topic from scratch, they basically looked at what was already working for somebody else.
Yeah.
Smart. And what was the target keyword they found?
So the target keyword they settled on was smart casual dress code. And according to Ahrefs, this keyword gets a whopping 38,000 searches per month. Although initially, they were also looking at the long-tail keyword, smart casual dress code for men, which still had significant traffic potential at around 6,300 searches a month. So right off the bat, if you're thinking about creating content, this is a really interesting validation strategy, isn't it?
Absolutely. So what's fascinating here is they're not trying to reinvent the wheel when it comes to topic identification. They're using a tried and true strategy.
Yeah.
The real question, the intrigue here, is how did they manage to get the super fast ranking once they had that keyword in mind?
Exactly.
And this is where AI comes into play in a very specific way.
Right.
So the video really emphasizes using the OpenAI playground, particularly with the GPT-4 model for content creation. The presenter even mentions that they prefer the playground to the standard ChatGPT UI because they feel they get better output and have more control overall. So for you, having used both, why do you think they make this distinction? What advantages might the playground offer in this context?
So it's possible that in the playground, they have access to more fine-grained control over how the text is being generated. Maybe they can tweak the writing style more precisely, or the tone that they want to convey in the article, or even the overall structure of the content. ChatGPT UI is fantastic. It's super user-friendly. But the playground might offer that extra level of control for folks who are really looking for something very specific. It's like having a more advanced toolbox at your disposal.
Okay, so playground over the regular ChatGPT UI. Interesting.
Yes.
So once they have their topic defined, the next step they show us in the video is their internal linking strategy.
Right.
And it's pretty intriguing. So how did they approach this crucial aspect of providing context to the AI?
So this is a really key point, and where we see a very clever combination of human knowledge, and AI assistance.
Mm-hmm.
Initially, they tried using the ChatGPT UI to select relevant internal links from their website as suit. However, they ran into a technical issue. The list of links was actually too long for ChatGPT to handle properly.
Ah, yes, those famous token limits, right?
Yes.
We've all been there working with large language models.
Exactly.
So for our listeners who might not be familiar with the term tokens, are basically the units that the AI model uses to process text.
Right.
And when the input you give it is too long, it can exceed those limits. So how did they overcome this hurdle?
They went back to the playground,
Uh-huh.
and there they somehow got GPT-4 to select a bunch of internal links that were relevant to the topic of smart casual dress code.
Okay.
And presenter even gives some examples of links that the AI identified as important, like pages for t-shirts, polo shirts, and jeans.
And they really emphasize the importance of including internal links that point to important pages within their site,
Yeah.
including ones for specific designers. So from your SEO understanding, what do you think is the logic behind this internal linking strategy when you're working with AI to generate content? Why is providing this context so important?
So the key idea here is to provide what's called semantic context to the AI.
Yeah.
By including internal links to specific product pages like polo shirts or t-shirts or jeans, you're giving the AI, and by extension Google, very specific information about what the website considers to be part of the concept of smart casual dress code.
Okay.
Right. You're basically creating a network of relationships within your own content that helps the AI better understand the topic. You know, it's like saying, look, when we talk about smart casual kitchen, these are the types of products we have that fit into that category.
Right. So you're kind of feeding the AI with practical examples
Exactly.
of what the term means within their own web ecosystem.
Okay. And so with this context provided by the internal links, they moved on to the content generation phase itself. So how did that process go according to the video? Okay. So the presenter describes using what's called a system prompt, which is a very detailed initial instruction that you feed to the AI in the playground. And this prompt included the central topic of the article. So in this case, smart casual dress code.
Right.
The name of the business, although it wasn't explicitly mentioned, it was implied to be a suit. And of course, that list of internal links that they had previously curated. And then instead of asking the AI to generate the entire article all at once, they actually did it in parts
Okay.
using sequential commands like write the first part and then write the second part.
Got it.
So breaking it down.
So they break it down into smaller chunks.
Exactly.
And they also mention a really interesting technical detail, which is using relative links in that system prompt.
Right.
So why do you think this is relevant? What advantage is there to using relative links as opposed to full URLs?
So relative links, instead of including the entire URL, like https.isuit.id polo shirts page, you know, they just specify the path within the same domain, like polo shirts page. And this has a very practical advantage. It significantly reduces the number of tokens that are used in the communication with the AI model. By using shorter links, you can pack more information into the prompt without hitting those token limits that we were talking about before.
That's smart.
So it was a clever workaround to the issue they had initially encountered with the absolute URLs.
So they optimize the prompt
Yeah,
to
exactly.
be as efficient as possible.
To be as efficient as possible.
And what about the actual content that the AI generated? What were some of the characteristics they highlighted? Was it short, long, well-structured?
Yes, the resulting content was actually quite lengthy. It included both HTML and Markdown formatting, and it contained a substantial number of internal links, just as they had specified in the initial prompt. And the presenter mentions that, you know, generally the more quality text Google's bots can crawl on a page, the better it is for ranking purposes. So they seem to be aiming for comprehensiveness here.
Okay, so after getting the main body of the article, the video shows us an additional step that they implemented to further optimize the content for search engines, which is adding what's called an FAQ schema. So how did they manage to generate this with the help of AI as well?
Once again, they turned to the playground to generate an FAQ section that was added at the end of the article. And the presenter even shows how they specified a particular format using HTML brackets
Okay.
to structure these questions and answers in a way that Google can easily understand. And the interesting thing here is that this FAQ content, when implemented on the web page, is often not visible by default to the user.
Right.
But it's still read and indexed by Google, which can potentially increase the chances of the article ranking better and also appearing in those rich snippets in search results.
Yeah.
So you're basically giving Google additional valuable information in a very structured way.
Right. It's like giving Google that extra little something something.
Yeah, exactly.
And to complement the text article, they also took care of creating a featured blog image. So what specific tool did they use for this task?
For the image creation, they used Microsoft Designer, which is found at designer.microsoft.com.
Okay.
And the presenter simply entered a description or prompt into the tool saying something like, create me a Shopify featured blog image for an article called Smart Casual Dress Code for Men.
Okay, quick and straightforward.
Very quick and straightforward.
And they also mention an important SEO consideration when naming the file for this image before uploading it, right? What was that recommendation?
Exactly. So the recommendation is to use the article title as the file name for the image.
Got it.
And this is a best practice in SEO because it helps Google understand what the image is about and how it relates to the content of the article. And while the images that were generated with this tool, they said were pretty good.
Okay.
They also acknowledge that ideally custom designed higher quality images are always going to be preferable in the long run.
Okay, so once they had all the separate elements, created the AI-generated text, the FAQ schema, and the featured image, it was time to put it all together and publish it as a Shopify blog post using HTML. And what was the final word count of this example article that supposedly achieved this fast ranking?
So the final article ended up being 975 words long. And the presenter even made a comment saying that he felt it was a little on the low side in terms of word count.
Interesting.
But despite that, they were still able to achieve the ranking result within just a few hours, according to the demonstration.
So here's the million-dollar question for all of us listening, including ourselves. According to the hypothesis the presenter puts forward in the video, why do they think this particular method might have worked so quickly to achieve that Google ranking? What's the key factor that they point to?
So the main theory they put forward is that the key to this fast ranking lies in the very specific context they provided to the AI through the internal links. So by including those links that point to relevant products and pages within their own website, they're essentially giving the AI, and by extension Google, a much clearer and more detailed understanding of what the concept of smart casual means to them.
Right.
So by linking directly to those polo shirts and t-shirts and jeans pages that they sell, the AI can better understand, what kind of garments are associated with this particular style within their offering.
So in essence, for our listeners who are following along, the key steps in this workflow we saw are: first, analyze competitor keywords to find a good topic. Second, generate the content with AI in the playground. But here's the crucial part: leverage internal links to provide context to the AI about the topic. Third, include an FAQ schema to give Google that extra valuable information. And finally, create a quick image using another AI tool. So it's really a fascinating blend of old school SEO tactics with the latest AI technology.
Absolutely. And I think that this experiment really invites us to think about how AI tools, when combined strategically with those classic, well-established SEO tactics like competitor analysis and internal linking, could potentially lead to some pretty surprising results in terms of how quickly you can get content to rank on search engines.
So for all of you listening, we encourage you to think about the implications this approach might have for your own areas of interest or your work.
Yeah.
What old tricks do you already know that could be combined in innovative ways with these new AI tools to achieve maybe some unexpected results?
Exactly. And as always, it's super important to remember the importance of experimentation and observing the results.
Yes.
Just like the presenter did in this video. The theory is an interesting starting point. But it's the practice and the data analysis that's really going to tell us the long-term effectiveness and sustainability of these kinds of strategies.
This deep dive into one person's experiment really leaves us with so many open questions about the future of content creation and SEO. So for you listening out there, what aspect of this whole process stands out to you as the most surprising or potentially game-changing?
It's a question that gives us a lot to think about.
Yeah, food for thought.
It's a fascinating glimpse into the possibilities that AI continues to unlock in the digital world.
And if you want to continue exploring this vast world of knowledge, we invite you to click the link you'll find just below this audio to listen to a completely free audiobook using Audible. Until our next deep dive.